about you. I don't trust you. Fuller don't trust you, and I don't know if these people trust you or not, but I want them to know the real Frank Dusek, and I'm here to make sure you call the shots the way they're.
Well, you just make sure you stay here and call the shots from here. Also on the card, an exciting six-man tag team action. Vince Torrelli, War Eagle Chris Chavis, and Ranger Ross together, plus a newcomer, Tex Salinger, a newcomer to the stud stable.
Tex Salinger, a big 6'7" man from Amarillo, Texas, a good friend of mine. That's why we called him in here, and he come in here to take care of business. That's exactly what he's going to do.
Kings Mountain is ready for all this action. Kings Mountain, North Carolina, the Recreation Center, home of the great Revolutionary War battle when the British were beaten back to the sea. Will it be a time for the stud stable to be beaten back to the sea? Or is Paul Jones and his people, who do you think are going to take it?
That's kind of a dumb question for you to ask somebody like myself. I'm an intelligent man, and the stud stable prevails over all. There's no doubt in my mind that Robert Fuller, myself, Tex Salinger, the Bulldogs, anything we do, we accomplish, and we do it perfect.
Well, I'll tell you this much, ladies and gentlemen. The first match you're going to see tonight is going to be that exciting South Atlantic heavyweight title match between the champion, the Tennessee stud Robert Fuller, and the #1 challenger, Paul Jones. And we're going to put it on first so that we're sure that we get the entire match on the card if time is left.
Let's pick it up right here where it's really happening. You want to see who the toughest man in North Carolina and South Carolina is? You'd have to go to Tennessee. But tonight, you people got a real special night on your hands because the little bit of Tennessee's come to you. This beloved Tennessee belt you see on my shoulder, the North American Heavyweight Championship, is going on the line, if you want to call it on the line, to your North Carolina star, Paul Jones. I'm going to be guaranteeing you something, and you're going to be proud to say it when this thing's over. You're going to be able to say, Stud whipped that Jones, whipped him real good, made him like it, and Stud, I love you.
Good luck, bro.
Well, that remains to be seen, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with the Tennessee stud Robert Fuller against #1 Paul Jones, title on the line, right after these commercial announcements.
You got that.
Heavyweight Championship, the title match is on the line. Weighing in at 230 pounds from Houston, Texas, #1, Paul Jones. His opponent, weighing in at 247 pounds from Nashville, Tennessee, the North American heavyweight champion, the Tennessee stud, Robert Fuller.
Welcome to ringside, ladies and gentlemen. Frank Dusek with you here for this South Atlantic Heavyweight Championship match. The Tennessee stud, Robert Fuller, against the #1 challenger, #1 Paul Jones. And there you see Byron Richards, referee, discussing the rules of Tennessee stud. If I know the stud and his tactics, you'll see a lot of that today. Richards showing the belt around, showing it to the fans, showing it to Paul Jones. Jones, of course, no stranger to heavyweight title belts. Jones looking at that belt, no doubt thinking what it would look like around his waist. The Tennessee stud got no part of that. Byron Richards will have to take that belt away from #1 Paul Jones. We're here in beautiful Kings Mountain, the Kings Mountain Recreation Center. You hear these fans, they are definitely behind, solidly behind #1 Paul Jones. The robes were moved, the belts sent out to ringside, and we should be getting a bell signal from the referee for the bell to start this championship match. And we will show it to you folks in its entirety. If it takes the full hour, all the other matches have been put on standby, so you will see the conclusion of this title match, guaranteed. The boots are checked. There's the signal for the bell, and we're off in wrestling. Paul Jones against Robert Fuller, the title on the line. I was scheduled to be joined here at ringside by Maniac Matt Borne, but in typical Maniac fashion, he's nowhere to be found. Maybe he'll show up during the match, who knows. But right now, they tie up collar and elbow. Jones forcing Fuller into the corner. Fuller, in his fashion, that is the Tennessee stud style. He will work with you. He will constantly harass the referee and the officials to try to throw off your concentration. And that's just what he's doing, folks. And I do not think that will work with a man the intensity of #1 Paul Jones. #1 Paul Jones has one thing in his mind right now, and that one thing is to defeat the Tennessee stud. Once again, these two veterans circling, eyeing, watching each other, finger lace. No. And once again, Fuller back into the corner. Referee admonishing Paul Jones for the use of the fist, or the proposed use of the fist. And you see Fuller following right in behind, wanting that admonishment even stiffer. There again, that's the Tennessee stud's tactics. Harassment, until he picks his spot. And when he picks his spot, he'll sure take it. Well, I see Matt Borne has finally joined us here at ringside. Matthew, it's good to finally have you down here where you belong.
myself. And look at that, a cheap shot from Paul Jones. Uncalled for.
I wouldn't exactly call that a cheap shot. I just call it a receipt.
Now that's a flagrant display of unsportsmanlike conduct if I've ever seen it. You know it, Deucey. I know it. The fans know it. Let's face it.
I suppose teaming up and Torrelli was sportsmanlike conduct. I suppose 5-on-1, 4-on-1, all these situations that the stud stable creates, that is sportsmanlike conduct.
That's payback, Deucey. Payback for what happened to me. You saw me, Deucey. 2 black eyes, 36 stitches in my head. I was beat up by 4 of them. And heck,
I was under the understanding you were in a car wreck.
who told you that?
The police reports. We got it. They called the office asking about you. Want to know?
Seabolt's a liar. He told you that.
Oh, a quick 1-2. Jones into the ropes. The stud down to get another cover. 1-2, and just a count away, Matt Borne. Oklahoma hayride. He's got him again. Fuller doesn't know what's going on, and he takes off to the apron. And that's the thing to do right now. Change the pace of the match, because right there with 3 quick 2 counts left, a seasoned veteran, Paul Jones.
That's a perfect example of the stuff that's going on around here, Deucey, that I think you're behind. The quick count by the referee. We need a referee in here that's going to be unbiased. Be perfectly neutral in a match like this.
Now, what is wrong? What is wrong with Byron Richards? He counted the same way for Paul Jones, and you got...
He's letting them know that it's a quick count. It's obvious that Byron Richards is a biased referee. Who knows? Paul Jones is probably paying him off.
Now, this is coming from the guy that read the contract before he signed it, the brains of the stud stable, right?
Well, I'll just say that we trusted Paul Jones. If Paul Jones said he had somebody to wrestle Robert Fuller, we took him for his word. Yeah, but he lied. He's a liar. And Byron Richards...
There's the count he wanted. 2,000. That was the count the Tennessee stud wanted. 1,000. 2,000. That'll teach him, by golly, to argue about officiating. I think he needs to quit worrying about the officials and worry more about Paul Jones, because Paul Jones has been the United States heavyweight champion. He beat Johnny Valentine for that title. He was 3 times NWA World Heavyweight Champion. You know yourself now, Matthew. You've been around the cup looking for the handle a time or two. You don't have those kind of credentials unless you're able to protect yourself and take care of yourself in that squared circle.
I think that's your problem. You're always living in it's almost 1991.
Suppose that I don't know, I update myself. I think we're going to have a new champion myself. I believe the intensity, my personal opinion is, Jones is going to take the match if they can keep the stud stable from interfering.
Well, if I was a bet man, Robert Fuller is a man of his word.
I'm glad he doesn't speak, at least he signs without knowing when he can back it up. Right now, Fuller, several series of rights and kicks, and once again into the arm wringer. Fuller demonstrating that second-generation style, that rough house, rugged style combined with a great deal of wrestling skill. And that's what's the pity about a man like Robert Fuller, because he does possess a great deal of wrestling skill. Very long, very lanky.
Pity about that, Ricky.
It's a pity that he takes such shortcuts when a man possesses the skills that this man possesses. Not that he takes the shortcuts so much, but that he takes them behind their back. Now, I took a shortcut in my career, God knows you have, but the thing about it is, you take it in a man's face. You don't take them behind his back, and that's what the stud stable is doing. Taking these shortcuts 3 and 4 on 5-on-1, and I don't care how you slice it, Matt Borne. I think it's wrong. The wrestling organization thinks it's wrong. The people of South Atlantic Wrestling, all the fans everywhere, think it's wrong.
Hey, Deucey, you're in the position now as a spokesman for the South Atlantic Wrestlers, and you're a biased man. If you can just maintain neutral, I think you would be a fair man. But you're able to do that. You were able to do that in 1986 when I knew you so well. You're able to do that now. I don't trust you, and I'm sure when this match is over,
I'll tell you a little thing. You, Matt Borne, Robert Fuller, that whole stud stable, you're like a bunch of rattlesnakes. When you go to corral a rattlesnake, you don't play neutral. You stay on the defense the whole time, and that's the way I'm going to do. I'm going to stay on the defense. Yeah, they've asked me to come out here. They've asked me to commentate the show. They've asked me to be the spokesman, the representative. They've said they're going to give me unlimited power to make sure things stay on the up and up. I hope I don't have to test that theory, but if I do, you know I'll back it up.
well, when we fight, it's get him out. And they hurt. And Deucey, I don't trust you one bit. And look at that Robert Fuller handle that Paul Jones like.
And Jones rammed into the corner, shoulder first. Good thing he got his head out of the way. That is 6-inch iron bar. And now Robert Fuller, the Tennessee stud, going to work on the left arm of Robert Fuller. You may not approve of his tactics, you may not approve of his company, but he is one whale of a wrestler, and he is the South Atlantic heavyweight
This is proof right here that justice will win out in the end. We're not considering that we won the war. We just won this battle. Because we know we got a lot in store for us. And Jones and his Rangers, boy, let me tell you something. Whether it's you and me, one-on-one, for this belt, I'll be there. Or whether it's your stable against my stable, we'll be there. Or whether it's for a tournament for the Mercedes-Benz, Jones and his Rangers will be there. Or whether it's for the Battle Royals with the large purse, we will also be there because we're going to fight fire with fire. I wish each and one of my men here could have a chance to talk, but this interview is running out. But I just want to tell you people out there, no matter where you're from, we're coming to you, and we're going to bring the fight to Fuller Stable. We'll be there. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and joining me now, the new South Atlantic heavyweight champion, #1 Paul Jones. All of them just want to shake your hand. Please, I think it's strange voice on you on the screen so hard. Raise your heart for you. Sure, pull it through.
Well, thank you, Frank. I'll tell you one thing. I'm probably the most excited person right now in the building, besides Robert Fuller, and I think he's excited in the opposite way.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing. I'm very, very glad to be the champion and to wear this belt. I don't think Fuller deserves the belt, and there's a number of reasons. And I tell you, this is just the start of what's going to happen to Fuller in the future.
Well, I'm sure proud for you. I'm proud indeed. I thought things looked awful bad when Matt Borne came down the ringside, but you sure reversed it. Right now, though, Paul, let's go to the ring and Guerrilla Radio's Kilgo for the introduction.
It's a 6-man tag team action, weighing in at 238 pounds from San Diego, California, Vince Torrelli. His partner weighing in at 272 pounds from Pembroke, North Carolina, the War Eagle, Chris Chavis. And also at 237 pounds from Tampa, Florida, Tommy Seabolt. Their opponents weighing in at 227 pounds from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Trent Knight. His partner weighing in at 232 pounds from Hollywood, California, Tommy Landell. Weighing in at 275 pounds from Greensboro, North Carolina, it's Dan Grundy.
Paul, I'll tell you, it's an exciting group here, 6-man tag team action. Young Vince Torrelli, Mr. Wrestling Vince Torrelli it is now. A protege of yours, joined, of course, by War Eagle Chris Chavis and newcomer Tommy Seabolt.
Well, I tell you, he's a newcomer to South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, but you watch this man when he wrestles in a ring, you can tell that he's got the experience, and he's another one just like Vince Torrelli and Chris Chavis, just looking for that big break, and I think that they're going to find it with this alliance.
Well, they start up collar and elbow here. It's War Eagle Chris Chavis against Trent Knight. Knight going to the outside. This Kings Mountain crowd solidly behind the trio of Chavis, Torrelli, and Seabolt. I want to say a special hello to all our friends down in Columbia, South Carolina. We'll be coming down there this Tuesday. Cookie, Lorraine, Claudia, and Tammy, the Columbia connection down there, a bevy of lovely beauties who help us out. I want to say a special hello to you, and we will see you this Tuesday.
Well, I tell you, Frank, you must have done an awful lot of hollering during that match because you seem to lost your voice there.
Well, I'll tell you, when Matt Borne left the ringside area here, or left the announcer's booth, I said, look at this press slam up over top, 240-plus pounds. Is that Chris Chavis a strong individual or what?
He's not only strong, you can see the size, and he's got a beautiful physique, and he's also he's thick. I mean, you see a lot of bodybuilders, but this man does it all. I mean, it's heavy weights.
He truly does. And Trent Knight in the wrong position right now. As there's a quick tag. Mr. Wrestling Vince Torrelli to the ringside. Fireman's carry up and over at Trent Knight. Not exactly the most experienced man in South Atlantic Wrestling, but certainly a veteran. And right now he is having all he can handle in the trio of Torrelli, Chavis, and Seabolt.
Well, you know, Frank, you look at Torrelli here, and here's what a great specimen of the athlete he is. After the beating he took to the hands of Stud Stable, and look at him, he just bouncing back. When I went to the hospital to visit this man, honest to God, I couldn't recognize him when I saw him.
Well, I was told that. You know, I wasn't able to get to the hospital in time to see him. He was out in just a matter of, what, 3 or 4 days. Once again, a fireman's carry. This time, it's young Tommy Seabolt executing the move perfectly. But Torrelli genuinely thought he was going to be out for 6 months or longer. And here he is back competing. Matter of fact, he'll be in Concord this Wednesday. Match there, starting time 7:30.
Exactly. Here it is, Tommy Landell. He's a good competitor. You've seen him here on TV for the last few weeks, and he can give these guys a run for their money. But I tell you, it's kind of hard when you come up to someone like Chris Chavis and the power and the experience he has.
Well, all the wrestlers that look like Chris Chavis when I was wrestling, Paul, I would retire a whole lot quicker than I did.
I wish I looked like that for just one day so I'd take a picture.
Oh, what are you talking about? Maybe get a picture and put our heads up, put it in his body, huh?
That's a good idea.
There's a Russian next week, really showing the vast experience. You know, he lost to the gentleman who won the 220 weight-pound gold medal in the 1988 Olympics. But Torrelli has a very strong amateur background. Setting him now as a suplex, certainly is vertical suplex.
This Torrelli, he has the power of a man, 350 pounds, and you watch him.
Just a matter of seasoning and experience, which you can well vouch for, Paul, is the one thing that you can never get from a book or from a teacher. Is now it's War Eagle Chris Chavis, another powerful individual, got all the credentials, just needs that experience in the ring. And Tommy Landell providing that experience right now, unfortunately for Tommy Landell.
Well, that's right. Oh, right here. Listen, airplane spin.
Set him up. No, it's a big backdrop. That big Samoan backdrop up over top, hook of the legs. This could be it. 1, 2. Oh, Trent Knight with the save. Knight sensing that the match was almost over, making the save. Or I think it would have been it right here. It is it right here. I didn't realize it. There's the count of 3. Your winners, War Eagle Chris Chavis, Vince Torrelli. See it again in slow motion, Paul.
Okay, right here is just here's where we see we picked him up. I thought it was I thought it was a 3 count, then I thought it was a 2 count. But just watch the power when he drives him back into that mat.
270 plus pounds crashing down on the midsection of young Tommy Landell. Referee Ronnie Hanna in position 1, 2, 3, and it's all over.
Okay, wrestling fans, now's your chance to join me as a member of the South Atlantic Pro Wrestling Fan Club. For a one-time $10 membership fee only, you can receive a limited edition wrestling t-shirt, an autographed picture of your favorite South Atlantic wrestler, and with your membership card, you get $1 off any South Atlantic Pro Wrestling event. Send $10 plus $2 shipping and handling to South Atlantic Pro Wrestling Fan Club, P.O. Box 221-269, Charlotte, North Carolina. Include your shirt size and your favorite wrestler. Join today.
How to play, but even if I did, I'm not much of a mood to play. You know, Rob lost the belt and all, and we're all really bummed out.
I don't know how to play guitar. Nah, I don't even want to.
Well, I'll tell you what, we come out here and do this taping, and Robert goes out there and gets cheated out of the belt. We're supposed to come out here and do a stud stable. I don't know how to do a stud stable without Robert. I can't play guitar. I can't sing. But I'll tell you what, we're not going to stand around. Hey, Robert, run another. Hey, Rob.
Don't worry about it. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to run from anybody. I didn't take no licking out there. Everybody knows that. If I did, I sure kept on taking. There's things that were supposed to be done out here in the stable today, guys. There was stuff that was supposed to happen. I had some new inductees into the stable. And right now, I don't care about losing the belt or nothing else that comes secondary to taking care of business. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I got some surprises. One thing you're going to be tickled to death about. You go out to Amarillo, Texas, just up there northwest from Dallas, out there where you live. There's a fella lives out there, I'm sure you know, 6'5", one of the biggest, meanest rascals ever lived on this earth. You know who I'm talking about. It's the next man in this stud stable. I want to introduce you to Big Tex Salinger. Tex, come on in, baby. Get that camera on the man. Give him that old longhorn, baby. That's terrific. That's terrific, and we're glad to have you in the stable, Tex. You just get right over there. We got a little bit more news to cover here. That's big news, but there's some more big news. You know, I ain't had no great feelings about Carolina. I hadn't really said anything good about it, and I guess there's probably only one thing that this state's got that's worth a flip, that ever has been worth a flip, as far as the wrestler goes, And if you know who I'm talking about, boys, I'm talking about the mailman himself. Can't touch that. Curtis Thompson. Curtis, come on in here, boy. Come on in.
Hey, you know as well as I do, and you said it yourself, North Carolina never produced a tough man in the history of this state. And he's no exception. Just because he's got a pretty body and a pretty face that goes like he ain't tough. He don't belong in the stable run.
It's all right. We don't need arguments, Serena. I already got enough problems out getting that. Curtis, you're a tough man. We're glad to have you into the stable. You're going to fit into things real good. Boys, I want everybody to welcome him in. Even you two men. Even you two men, if you would. If you would. Shake his hand, if you would. Shake his hand. Come on. Put it out there, Curtis. Shake his hand. He's the newest inductee into the state. We work together. Shake his hand. Come on. That's a boy. That's a boy. Now, let's get down to the heavy business here, guys.
I think you're making a big mistake.
That's all right. I know a fella that made a big mistake just a little bit of time ago. I know a man made a big mistake. Just stand back. It's all right, Curtis. Let me have the front order right here. Because he went out there with a crooked, good-for-nothing Carolina referee, and he took my belt. He didn't take it by himself. He took it with his Carolina referee. Now, last week, one second, Matt, please. Last week, I came out here and I tried to have a stable, and I got Paul Jones out here. He's all buttoned in. He said, I want to be part of your stable. I want to come out here. I want to introduce you to a contract stud.
Stand back.
Please, guys, come on, Curtis, please. He's all right. I got a contract right here, Paul Jones. I don't think you got guts enough to show your face to me right now. But if you do, what I want you to do, son, I want you to come out here and take a look at my contract. Get back, let him have it.
Let me tell you, what do you want? You're wasting the champion's time. What do you want?
I got a contract here I think you need to look at, son. Why don't you beat it out there and have a look at it?
It's a fine piece of paper.
It's a lot like your brain.
This next action is tag team action. Weighing in a combined weight of 486 pounds from Hamilton, New Jersey, Spike and Rex, the North American Tag Team Champions, the Bulldogs. Their opponents weighing in at 235 pounds from Columbia, South Carolina, Butch Malone. His partner weighing in at 235 pounds from Charlotte, Brian Johnson.
Welcome back to ringside, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined right now by the Vice President in charge of operations for South Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Mr. George Scott Jr. George, welcome to the announcers stand of the South Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
Well, Frank, thank you very much. I'm very proud to be here. You know, I grew up alongside of you in wrestling and everything, and it's very great to be part of this great organization, bringing wrestling back to the basics as we've been trying to do in the past years. I'm noticing this match right here. We've got the new tag team champions, the Pit Bulldogs, as they like to be called now, and it's going to be a tough match for them.
It sure is. These young Pit Bulldogs, they've, of course, gone into the stud stable. They've fallen under the evil dominance of the Tennessee stud, Robert Fuller. They were a tough young combination on their own, backed up now by Fuller and Borne and all of his entourage. This newcomer, Tex Salinger, who we're going to see later on in the program. They have a new philosophy, a new a new cockiness or whatever you want to call it. I don't know that I necessarily approve of it, George.
Well, did you just see that? Spike there just pushed him, and he went halfway across the ring. I mean, he went flying.
They are indeed very strong individuals. They're not that tall. They run in that 5'8", 5'10" category, but extremely wide, built like a fire plug, and that's going to make them, that makes them extremely tough, rugged individuals. I know in my amateur career, I had a lot more trouble with the shorter guys than I ever did with the taller guys because they were harder to get off their feet. And these Bulldogs are masters, these young boys are, at working that to their advantage.
There they go, tagging in and out, tagging in and out. And this Butch Malone, he's a tough character. We've seen him in recent weeks, and he gets better every time we see him. He does a real good job.
Well, he did a great job right there because he caught Rex charging in, hooked him, used his weight, hooked him over with an arm drag, another quick tag. And I think right off the bat, these Bulldogs have underestimated this team that they're up against.
They've got some real trouble. This Ben Johnson, he's a big guy. He's taking them on real strong. You know, here at South Atlantic Wrestling, we've been trying to do a lot of stuff. We've gotten involved in some drug-free organizations. We've been trying to get them more involved, trying to raise money for them. We've gotten involved in some athletic groups, some fire departments, just trying to raise money and everything. And I know you've been involved in it. One of the things that we've done in bringing you aboard is letting you commentate the show and everything. And I want to congratulate you on your new title as a South Atlantic Wrestling Matchmaker.
Well, George, thank you very, very much. You know, I've had a little experience in it in the past, as I'm sure some of the wrestling fans know. And I want you to know, and I want the board of directors to know that I appreciate the faith that you put in me, and I promise you that I will, I hate to use the cliche, but I will execute the duties to the best of my ability, and I will do my best to maintain the high standards of wrestling that you've set forth so far.
Well, we're behind you 100%. Any problems you have, all you have to do is let us know. Any problem that you have.
Thank you for that. But did you see that slam on the floor right there? We're in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. That is a basketball court right there, a tile floor, and Bulldog Rex, or Spike Rex, I guess it was. I can't tell them apart, thank you. Rex just slammed the young man right down on that floor, and boy, oh boy, did that take the wind out of his sails.
There they go, tagging in and out, tagging in and out. Paul Jones has got to have a headache now. I saw what happened to him earlier, and I hope to be looking into that. That stud stable, I don't really exactly know how that came about, but this is getting a little bit crazy that he can just take part of the show and do whatever he wants with it.
Have you seen Paul? Is he okay?
He's back there. When I saw him, he was unconscious. Of course, I had to get out here. We only had a couple of minutes, and you know, I hope he is okay. You know, he just won that belt, and if something happens and he can't come back, he's got 30 days to defend that belt, or he's going to have to give it up.
And if he forfeits it, then what would happen? Would we go to a tournament, or would it revert back to the Tennessee?
No, we would have a tournament. There's no way we'd give it back to the stud.
Let's certainly hope that doesn't happen. You know, you were talking about the work we're doing with the drug-free groups and the rescue squads and whatnot. We've got a big fundraiser coming up in Johnsonville, South Carolina. All you neck gators down that way, pay attention, because the rescue squad at the Johnsonville High School has a big fundraiser plan. They've gotten businesses from all over that part of the country have bought sponsorship packages. They got about 400 kids that are going to be admitted absolutely free, thanks to local businessmen. And man, I'm just looking forward to being there. And that's next Saturday night down in Johnsonville, South Carolina. And it's that way all over the country. Everywhere we go, George, we're leaving money in the towns and dealing with these local groups and these fundraisers, and it's bringing wrestling back to the people of North and South Carolina and Virginia. And I am just pleased as punch to be a part of it.
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to bring the wrestling back to the basics, back to the way it used to be, back to the people. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, back to this Paul Jones. You know, he's gotten a group of guys together, Chris Chavis, Ranger Ross, Vince Torrelli, and he's gotten a name for them, Jones's Raiders. And I'll tell you, these guys are ready to take care of business.
Well, certainly he needed something to counterbalance the stud stable. And Jones's Rangers, he's picked him four. Granted, they're not necessarily as experienced as some of the men in the stud stable, but he's got three guys behind him that I think he can trust 110% in War Eagle Chris Chavis, Vince Torrelli, and of course Ranger Ross. Now, everybody knows Ranger Ross's credentials. Vince Torrelli, we've talked about a number of times. War Eagle Chris Chavis. As a matter of fact, War Eagle Chris Chavis has a few words he'd like to say on behalf of Jones's Rangers.
Let me tell you something, Fuller and the stud stable have been doing a lot of battles together, but now we're at war. We've got the stud stable. Now we have the Joneses Rangers. We got me. We got Vince Torrelli. We got Ranger Ross and Paul Jones. Every time you guys move, every time you guys go to the ring, we're going to be there to support Joneses Rangers.
Well, I tell you, George, in my wrestling career, I fought a lot of men. I did a lot of things that I wasn't always 100% proud of. But I always made a point that if I did something dirty to a man, I did it to his face. But that's something that certainly the Tennessee stud, Robert Fuller, and his stud stable cannot say. And if Paul Jones is going to defend himself, if Paul Jones is going to continue in his wrestling career, and it has been a long and colorful career, he's going to have the support of men like his Rangers. And I think that's the best thing he ever could have done, and go out and get the men to stand behind him.
The Rangers are going to be a tough group to contend with, that's for sure. Here we have a submission hold. Looks like that's it.
It is
it's
a simple
the end of the
arm bar.
match.
A simple arm bar, George. They worked on it from the beginning of the match. Stayed on that left arm all the way through. Like a pit bulldog, they stayed with it. And there's your winners, ladies and gentlemen, the Pit Bulldogs.
These people out here have got a real big problem because all they can do is scream, "We want Paul Jones." That means y'all going to get real sick to your stomach because that's one thing you're not going to get. The last time Paul Jones was seen out here, boys, you know where he was seen? He was seen pancakes out right here on this floor with a guitar wrapped around his ears. Now, you know something, Jones? That don't mean I'm happy because I still ain't got the belt back, but it sure does make me feel a little bit better, Kurt. I gotta tell you, guys, we got a lot of things before us here. What we gotta look forward to right now, we better think about, there's a Mercedes tournament coming up. Somebody's gonna be riding in that Mercedes. There's more money being given away, brother. I'm talking about $2,000 battle royals all over, and that's very, very exciting. Right here, you look close, you'll see your tag team champions. I want to know if there's anybody in South Atlantic wrestling that can beat them. What do you think, Curtis?
Well, you know, Stud, when I win that Mercedes-Benz, I'm going to take everybody out with me, and I'm going to get everybody a girl. You know, but Matt Borne, I don't know about taking Matt with us.
Don't start. Don't start. Have a little fun, but don't start. Listen, guys, they may come to us and they may decide they want to dig Paul Jones up out of the grave somewhere and get an 8-man going. Maybe you figure you want to get tough and take on the entire stable. And if you want to, Daddy, I'm going to guarantee you this. I'm going to guarantee you Tex Salinger is ready. Am I right, Tex?
You're right, Stud. I ain't never been readier. We got a baby. There ain't nobody in Jones's Rangers that can even handle one of us, baby.
You got it. You listen to us, boys. Jones going off to the hospital, Daddy, and forget it. We're out of here.
Big and hard and battle scarred and getting long in the tooth.
Now entering the ring, weighing in at 301 pounds, from Texas, it's Tex Salinger. His opponent, weighing in at 280 pounds, from parts unknown, the White Knight.
Frank Dusick back at ringside for the Director of Operations for South Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Mr. George Scott Jr. And George, I think the White Knight certainly has his work cut out for him in this newcomer from the stud stable, Tex Salinger.
Tex Salinger, he kind of reminds me of a man I'm sure that you've had dealings with, Blackjack Mulligan.
Well, he does. He certainly does. He comes from somewhere out in the panhandle of Texas, or so says Robert Fuller. You know, Robert Fuller, to him, fair and square is fighting words, so you never really know what Robert Fuller, whether he's telling you the truth or not. He says he comes from the panhandle of Texas. I believe he has that Blackjack Mulligan type look on him. Maybe not quite as big, but he's a 300-pounder, which makes him one of the strongest, one of the biggest men in South Atlantic wrestling, George. Whoa, showing a lot of agility, too. It's just the horns from Texas there after a big clothesline, and the White Knight right off the bat, flat on his back, George.
He's 6'9". He's almost every bit of, or 6'7", I'm sorry, and Blackjack was 6'9", so he's almost as tall as Blackjack. He reminds me a lot about him. He really does. You know, we're going to be making a tour coming up, and we're going to be in Columbia, South Carolina, with a new starting time, and in some of these towns during the week at 7:30, so that some of the younger kids can come out and see us all, and we'll be looking forward to seeing them all there.
That's exactly right, George. And that starting time's also good for our shows coming up in Greenwood, Spartanburg, and Shelby. All you wrestling fans listening to us along those great stations. Mark your calendars, 7:30 is the starting time. Now, for all you fans in Lumberton, it's still an 8 o'clock starting time on Saturday night. As we see Tex Salinger carrying the battle to the White Knight. You know, the only thing I really know about this Tex Salinger, George, is like everybody else, it seems like in the stud stable, he has almost a fanatic loyalty to Robert Fuller, and I do not understand whether it's a Manson-like quality or what, but they all seem to be. The Pit Bulldogs are a classic example, almost just fanatically loyal to Fuller in anything he says.
They act like they owe him their life. I mean, it's amazing. This guy right here, you can see he has no regards for the rules at all. Just basically just ignoring Ronnie Hanna there, and he's got till the 5 count to break, or Ronnie Hanna could send him back to the dressing room, and he really should. Just send him back to the dressing room and teach him a lesson if he doesn't make that count by 5.
Well, of course, he has to till the count of 5, and Salinger, like all of the stud stable men, well schooled in how to not necessarily break the rules, George, but bend them. And you know, you coming from a wrestling family, you've seen it for years. I've same way come from a wrestling family. I've been a wrestler, and I know that there are ways to bend and break the rules. And when you work for a man with the credentials of Robert Fuller, you know, Robert Fuller has what they call a BS, CS, DD. That's a degree in backstabbing, corkscrewing, and dirty dealing. So, you know, by golly, he's going to teach them every shortcut that there is in the book.
That's right. That's right. And all you fans that have sent in for fan club memberships, you know, you get $1 off of all the live events that you can be expecting. You can receive them in the mail within the next couple of weeks.
That includes their T-shirts and their free autographed pictures of their favorite South Atlantic star, right, George?
That's right. That's right. You can be expecting them anytime. Oh, here's a move we've never seen before.
Hangman, Texas Hangman. He's got him up backwards, pulling down across the vertebrae. That should be it. It is. Referee Ronnie Hanna signaling the bell. The Texas Hangman. I haven't seen that used in many a year. 6'7", hooked the man with the neck under the chin, picked him up over the top, and had him hanging up in there. He was defenseless to do anything about it. Boy, oh boy, this Tex Salinger, what an addition. We'll be back with more right after these commercial messages.
Okay, wrestling fans, now's your chance to join me as a member of the South Atlantic Pro Wrestling Fan Club. For a one-time $10 membership fee only, you can receive a limited edition wrestling T-shirt, an autographed picture of your favorite South Atlantic wrestler, and with your membership card, you get $1 off any South Atlantic Pro Wrestling event. Send $10 plus $2 shipping and handling to South Atlantic Pro Wrestling Fan Club, P.O. Box 221269, Charlotte, North Carolina. Include your shirt size and your favorite wrestler. Join today.
And you saw it right here today. As a matter of fact, you folks, let's see it one more time right here. Paul Jones, the new South Atlantic heavyweight champion. As you see, the winner once again, South Atlantic heavyweight champion. But what happened afterwards? Number 1, Paul Jones, carbonged by the stud stable. The guitar broke over his head. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if Paul Jones is going to have to forfeit the title or what. He was carried out of here, not conscious, not knowing where he was. So it's going to remain to be seen whether number 1, Paul Jones. Number 1, Paul Jones, right here, ladies and gentlemen, the new South Atlantic heavyweight champion.
Frank, let me tell you something. If somebody wants to get rid of me, the last place they should hit me is on top of the head. Because if I had any sense, I wouldn't have stayed in wrestling this long. But let me tell you something, Fuller. One way or the other, I'm going to be wherever I say I'm going to be. I'm not going to forfeit this title. Brother, I've got Jones's Rangers standing behind me. I can't think too clear right now, but I just wanted to come out here and tell you, brother, I'm not down and I'm not out. And Fuller, I'm going to be there wherever I've got a challenge.
Well, no, just a little bit earlier, the stud stable was here, and they had some comments to make. Paul, I'm sure you and all of your Rangers would like to hear them. Let's hear what the stud stable had to say just a few minutes earlier.
Jones, let me tell you what, son. You see that guitar right there? If that ain't finished up enough for your head, son, I'll finish just a little bit more for you. I'm going to guarantee you something, and I'm going to guarantee it to you good, too, son. You want to bring yourself back, and you think you don't have a concussion, I'm going to guarantee you these guys standing right here, as well as myself, the Tennessee stud, is going to see you darn well get one. You better get some backup, son, because you're darn well going to need it. Let's get out of here, boys.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Paul, you heard what the stud stable had to say.
Let me tell you something, Fuller. Whether it's for the car, an 8-man tag match, elimination match, or a battle royal, you're going to see Jones and the Rangers are going to be there. We're not taking a backseat. These people in the audience here tonight, they know whether they love me or hate me in the past. They know when I say something, I'll back it up one way or the other. I don't care if I got to get a baseball bat, a bigger guitar, a hammer. I don't care what it is, we'll be there. But in this case, I've got something stronger than all those things. I've got all the Rangers. I got Ranger Ross, Vince Torrelli, Chief Eagle, Chris Chavis. And I don't have to pay them a dime to stand behind me. Let me tell you something, Fuller. You get your stable together because we're coming.
That's it till next week, ladies and gentlemen. South Atlantic Championship Wrestling.